The ranking of rock bands has always been a difficult process as the young generation likes all the genres of rock bands. It is quite difficult to understand how high they are ranked. From the beginning of the rock bands till now is a great journey to travel. We're on a world tour of what it looks like to celebrate the fun. Let us dive into today's video of our top 10 best rock bands of all time. Number 10. Tool. Tool isn't the most successful metal band out there. They've only released 4 albums since their formation in 1990. For the sake of comparison, Black Sabbath released their 4th album around 3 years into their career. Tool has established one of metal's largest cult followings despite their restricted production and completely lack of hit songs. In 1993, at the peak of the alternative music wave, the band rocketed into popularity. They didn't sound anything like Pearl Jam or Smashing Pumpkins, but their debut album, Undertow, earned them a large following, especially after they toured with Lollapalooza that summer. MTV even played the video for Sober on a regular basis. Despite long gaps between their projects, their audience has grown since then. Number 9. Sonic Youth. Start with the underground if you want to study the evolution of mainstream rock in depth. People who have never been financially successful designed the blueprints for practically every genre and subgenre of rock. If it weren't for the blueprints, many prominent rock artists would not have followed the formula they did on their way to widespread success. Sonic Youth was one of the main architects. Sonic Youth, a noise rock pioneer who started in 1981, has gone on to become one of the most influential indie bands of all time. Daydream Nation, their 1988 album, is considered a cultural classic, and the Library of Congress selected it for inclusion in their National Recording Registry, honoring records of cultural significance in 2005. Number 8. Pantera. Pantera was the band for metal fans in the 1980s and 1990s who thought Metallica didn't rock hard enough. Throughout the 1980s, the thrash metal band had a devoted following, but the publication of Cowboys from Hell pushed them to a new level of fame, which only grew 2 years later with the release of Vulgar Display of Power. After long simmering tensions between frontman Phil Anselmo and guitarist Dimebag Darrell reached a boiling point, the band disbanded in 2003. The next year, Dimebag was killed on stage in Columbus, Ohio, by a deranged fan while on the tour with his new band, Damageplan. Number 7. Led Zeppelin. All day long, people can debate whether Led Zeppelin is a legitimate metal band. It will be of no use to us. The fact that generations of metal guitarists have flocked to Jimmy Page's shrine is undeniable. Furthermore, the entire genre of music would have been radically different if they hadn't made albums like Led Zeppelin II. That record came out just a few months before Black Sabbath's debut, and both had a significant impact on the genre. The band disbanded after drummer John Bonham died in 1980, though they've reformed for a few gigs since then, most notably at London's O2 Arena in 2007. In rehearsal, they put on a 2-hour concert, but Robert Plant refused to take it on the road, and the show they recorded that night has yet to be released on tape. Number 6. The Velvet Underground. After releasing their debut album in 1967, The Velvet Underground is widely considered to be the first alternative rock band. They are highly considered as influential despite their lack of commercial success. Everyone who bought one of those 30,000 copies constituted a band, Brian Eno famously declared in a 1982 interview with Musician magazine, referring to the band's debut album's initial sale of only 30,000 copies. In 2006, the Library of Congress Recording Registry added the Velvet Underground and Nico record to its collection. The band's unconventional and experimental approach hampered their commercial success. Number 5. The Clash. Around the time of the release of their iconic album London Calling in 1979, The Clash was called the only band that matters. For a while, they came close to living up to that tagline. The Clash were undoubtedly the most influential of all the British punk bands in the late 1970s. They contrasted sharply with bands like the Sex Pistols, who were nihilistic, and the Buzzcocks, who were more pop-oriented. They were idealists who believed that music could help to bring about social change. They've made a name for themselves as one of the most socially conscious rock bands of all time. In many ways, Joe Strummer was the Bob Dylan of punk rock. Number 4. Bob Marley and the Wailers. Bob Marley and the Wailers were one of the first reggae acts to successfully cross over into the rock genre. Even now, the Wailers are frequently heard on classic rock radio. That crossover influenced a number of ska and reggae-inspired rock artists. including The Clash, The Police, and even Eric Clapton, who had a #1 success in the United States with the Wailers' I Shot the Sheriff. Bob Marley's lyrical ability has made him a pivotal figure in the creation of socially conscious rock music. Bob Marley, widely regarded as the first third world rock star, was deservedly inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 1995, but the rest of the Wailers' exclusion was egregious. Number 3. Nirvana. Despite Nirvana's unquestionable legacy, their inclusion on this list is purely subjective. Nirvana influenced the development of many people's particular musical tastes more than any other band. They served as a musical gateway drug for millions of other youngsters. Despite the fact that Nirvana did not originate the grunge or alternative music, they were instrumental in their acceptance by the general public. The success of the album Nevermind, as well as the song Smells Like Teen Spirit, forever changed the rock and roll scene. Number 2. Ramones. Of course, many proto-punk bands influenced the formation of punk rock, but the Ramones are largely regarded as the first punk band. Whether they were the first or not, they were unquestionably game changers. Their version of the 50s and 60s rock and roll, which was faster and harder, was a departure from the era's prog rock and disco. You'd be hard-pushed to find a punk or alternative rock outfit created after 1976 that didn't owe at least some kind of debt to the Ramones, just as you'd be hard-pressed to find a hard rock or metal artist that didn't owe at least some type of debt to Led Zeppelin. The Ramones' musical approach was so fast that it inspired countless thrash and speed metal bands. Their first 4 albums in particular laid the punk rock groundwork for many others to follow. Number 1. The Beatles. This is not intended to be a critique of the Beatles. Many people are true fans, and the White Album is one of the most beloved albums of all time. The goal was to keep the list from becoming too predictable or obvious. However, no one was able to complete the work. It's subversive to say that there were more important musical groups than the Beatles. Part of what made the Beatles so remarkable was their incredible artistic progress in such a short period of time. They started out as one of the first boy bands and progressed to becoming an innovative and experimental rock band. The modern-day parallel would be NSYNC becoming Radiohead. Music has always been a passion for the young generation. It is the most preferable genre for all generations, and now the old people are also moving to it. We hope you enjoyed today's video as much as we did. Let us know in the comments below your favorite rock bands of all time. Please give us a like and subscribe to our channel, District 10 TV, for more videos like this. Thank you for watching, and see you in our next video.